Right, so welcome to your Wisteria Wishes class. Now, your particular card kit contains the Wisteria Wishes stamp set and then cardstock and things that you need to complete your cards. So you will find bits of cardstock that have had little bits cut out for you like this, where I have die cut any dies. Because obviously there's no dies included in the stamp set. There is a little bit of fussy cutting that you can do rather than die cut, but where you've needed the dies, I've die cutted the dies for you, if that makes sense. So there are 3 cards in here. This first one is like a triple layered card. So what you will find in your envelope, and you'll find all your little bits in your envelope, so you'll have 2 envelopes together, and one of the envelopes will contain all your bits and pieces. A little fly that's attached itself to us. And you will find that I've actually cut your stitched rectangles for you. So what you will need to do is take your set of white stitched rectangles and nest them back into each other in order to stamp your images. So it will be the other way around to the instructions. So where the instruction says to stamp and then die cut, you've got them die cut, so nest them back in together and then do your stamping, and then you'll be able to pop them apart and use them. You will notice that you've got your die cut rectangles in your Orchid Oasis as well. Now I found that the border around these as it stood with just the die cut rectangles was too wide. You were missing too much, losing too much of your stamped images. So what I've actually done is taken a pair of scissors and trimmed on the inside of that stitched line for the 2 smaller rectangles. So you'll be able to see that on the picture. The 2 smaller rectangles haven't got the stitched line on the Orchid Oasis piece because I've cut that off so that you get to see more of the image underneath. So that is those, and you have 2 sets of the white and 2 sets of the Orchid Oasis. You've got some Orchid Oasis card here because I've die cut your banner piece, your stitched banner piece for you to stamp onto, but again I've backed that onto a piece of Orchid Oasis and I've just cut round to give it a narrow border. The next size up banner piece was far too big, so I've just given that a narrow border. So you've got all of that cardstock here. You will see that it's got 2 hexagons cut out of it, but you've got all this here that you're going to be able to use to create the backs on those borders, and you've got some of the in kind of matte dots to go on there, and you've got some Wisteria Wonder twine also in your kit. So for this I've stamped 2 of the branch pieces. So this branch piece here on the stamp set, I've stamped 2 of those so that they look as if they're coming out of each other, and I've stamped the this triple stamp here so that they're on these bits that are hanging down, and then I've used this to stamp the detail on the top. But you've got all the details in there of what colours I've used. Obviously if you haven't got those colours, you can sort of have a play around and substitute, that's the word I'm looking for, substitute some different colours. And I'll come to that one last. That's probably not the most complicated, but most detailed perhaps. This one here, you have got your die cut scalloped rectangles. You've got some sweet sorbet for your match. You've got a piece of thick very vanilla for your card base. You've got these little labels in there to stamp with. You've got your twine, and then you've got a whole lot here of a piece of very vanilla card that you're going to be able to stamp these flowers on, and that is this flower here. You better stamp those twice and fussy cut them and stamp this set of leaves, and if you stamp those twice, you'll be able to fussy cut those as well rather than die cut. So what I've actually done to get the two-tone on these is as I had my stamp on the block, I dipped the end into the yellow and then inked up the rest with the sweet sorbet, so that you get that sort of colour gradient going on there with the yellow tips coming down into the red. And the flowers in the background have been stamped off, so they are second generation, to give the idea of having a bit of depth on your card. So that's those ones. Actually, on this one, I will say that you'll notice that I have also, so whereas I stamped these flowers coming down, I stamped them first and then stamped them off again a second time in second generation. Can you see that paler image at the back? And again, that gives the impression of having a wisteria bush that is laden with blossoms, and you've got some little embellishments to stick on there as well. You can see here where I've die cut some leaves and a branch. With the branch, actually, I've only cut one, because you'll see in a minute that you're going to be able to cut that in half and get 2 cards out of your one branch. So that is for this final one just here, and this is the one you've probably got the most die cut pieces for. So you've got your starry sky here that you're going to be able to create your card base from. This has got some tape on here which has stuck it into the card base. Let's take that because we might need that in a minute. So you've got your one branch there that you're going to be able to cut in 2. You've got your 2 lots of leaves, you've got your ribbon, you've got your little iridescent pearls in there, you've got 2 white hexagons and 2 orchid oasis hexagons for your sentiment. You've got 2 pieces of embossed brick wall, and I did just use my blending brushes and go over the top of that with some fresh fuchsia. But you can choose another colour or choose not to do that at all. Now on the original card, this is the one where the stickies come out, look, I've just put that across the back there to hold those into the gaps, because on my original card what I did was like the smooshing technique on a piece of card and then die cut. So what I've done here for you is die cut, but I've got all of those pieces still stuck into that piece of cardstock, so you'll be able to hopefully smoosh over the top and get the same effect. So for smooshing, what I did, I used some stamping white markers, 3 colours of stamping white markers. Let's have a look. Which ones did I use? So fresh freesia marker to scribble colour onto a block, add orchid oasis and starry sky in small patches. So I've got my big block, scribbled on fresh freesia, put on some little patches of starry sky and orchid oasis, spritzed it really well, and then smoosh it over the top of your cardstock. Again, if you haven't got those colours, you could choose other shades of purples, lavenders, pinks, blues, to get a bit of a mix of a colour. And what you'll find here is you've got pairs. So you've got this large die cut piece here and this slightly thinner piece here. And so once you've smooched them all, pop those out, and you've got enough here for 3 flowers and enough there for 3 flowers and a butterfly. So you're going to layer these up. So you'll layer that one on top of that one, and as you layer them up, you will see that they will sort of, those holes will align, and they will align quite nicely on top of each other to give sort of that 3D effect. And you could lift them slightly if you want to, but yeah, really pretty. When it came to sticking them down, I stuck my sentiment in place first, so that I was then able to drape these blooms over the top of it. And your butterfly can obviously go wherever you need your butterfly to go. That's what's so useful about adding butterflies to a project. I hope that will all make sense. If you have any questions, then do reach out and ask, and hopefully I will be able to answer those for you. But enjoy that class. and hopefully you'll join us again very soon.